This is the story of a woman who feared no man until she married one.
Hey besties, welcome to African Tales by Chinua. Guys, Jessica built her life without a man, but just one man destroyed everything.
Jessica was the kind of woman people stopped to look at twice, not just because she was beautiful, though she was. Tall, confident, well put together. The kind of beauty that didn't beg for attention, it commanded it. But what really made people talk was her life. By her late 20s, Jessica had done what many only dream of. Good education, multiple certificates, a thriving career, money in her account, her own apartment. No dependency on anyone. She built everything herself, and she made sure the world knew it. On social media, Jessica was a force. Over 3 million followed her. Every morning her podcast dropped like clockwork. People waited for it. Some loved her, some hated her, but everyone listened. Because Jessica said the things many were afraid to say, or maybe the things many were angry enough to believe. Men are overrated, she would say, her voice calm but sharp. You don't need a man to survive. You don't need a man to succeed. Most of them will only slow you down. Her comments were always on fire, women cheering her on. Yes, Queen, preach. Men are the problem. Jessica would smile when she read them. Not a soft smile, a knowing one. To her, this wasn't just content. It was truth. She had seen enough, experienced enough. Men disappointed. Men controlled. Men left. Men cheated. So she made a decision. A firm one. She would never be under any man. Never. No man would control her. No man would have authority over her life. No man would make her feel small. She had worked too hard for that. Too hard to build herself from nothing into something powerful. In her world, relationships were unnecessary risks. Love, a distraction. Marriage, a trap. Dependence, a weakness. And Jessica refused to be weak. Every episode of her podcast carried that same energy, that same fire, that same quiet anger wrapped in confidence. One morning, Jessica's podcast went live as usual. Her camera was on. Her mic was clear. Her confidence, unshakable. "Good morning, my people," she said, adjusting her seat. "Let's talk again about this thing called men leading women." Her tone had that familiar edge. Who gave them that right? Society, tradition. Please, let's be serious. We are in a new world. The comments started pouring in fast. "Say it louder." "We don't need men. Queen Jessica has spoken." Jessica smiled, feeding off the energy. "Ladies, open your eyes. You don't need to shrink for any man. If he can't match your level, leave him behind. Simple." She kept going, point after point. Her words sharp, confident, almost like she was fighting an invisible battle. Behind the camera, sitting quietly on the couch, was Fumi. She had been there the whole time. Just watching, just smiling. Not the cheering type of smile, something softer, almost like she was waiting. Finally, the podcast ended. Jessica leaned back, satisfied. "Another one done," she said, stretching. Fumi clapped slowly. "You have done it again," she teased. Jessica laughed. "As always. Somebody has to tell them the truth." Fumi shook her head, still smiling. "Jessica, you and this your feminism thing, ain't?" Jessica raised an eyebrow. "What about it?" "My dear, you too carry for head," Fumi said gently. "Every day, men this, men that. Relax, small na." Jessica sat up. "Relax? So we should just accept nonsense?" "No now," Fumi replied calmly. "But life is not as hard as you paint it. Not every man is your enemy." Jessica scoffed. "That's what they want you to believe." Fumi laughed softly. See me. I'm not doing all this your men are useless movement. Oh, I want to marry. I want my own home, my children, peace of mind. Jessica looked at her like she had just said something shocking. You? So you want to be depending on a man? Not depending, Fumi corrected. Building together. Jessica shook her head, smiling in disbelief. You don't have to be a feminist. It's fine. I'll be doing it for both of us. Fumi burst out laughing. This girl. Don't worry, Jessica continued playfully. When you marry and your husband starts misbehaving, I'll be there. Oh, really? Fumi leaned forward. You will come and fight him for me? I will deal with him properly, Jessica said, pointing confidently. Both of them laughed. That night, Jessica sat alone in her room, a glass of juice in her hand. The house was quiet. Too quiet. For once there was no camera, no audience, no applause. Just her and her thoughts. She stared into the glass, but she wasn't really seeing it. Her mind had gone far back to a place she didn't like to visit, back to her childhood. Jessica didn't always hate men. Life taught her. Her mother was a gentle woman, soft-spoken, kind, the type that endured more than she should. But her father was a different story. He never allowed her mother to work, said it was his duty to provide. But he didn't just provide. He controlled. He bullied her, shouted at her, reduced her to nothing inside that house. And then he cheated, over and over again. Jessica saw it all, heard it all. The arguments, the crying, the silence that followed. Any time her mother tried to speak up, it got worse, until one day, it went too far. Jessica remembered it like it was yesterday. The shouting, the struggle, the sound of something hitting the floor. Her mother collapsed, and that was the end. No warning, no second chance. Just like that, she was gone. Jessica's grip on her glass tightened. That day changed everything. That day, a little girl made a silent promise. She would never be weak, never be controlled. One Saturday afternoon, Jessica was at the mall. Simple outfit, no stress, just trying to pick a few things. She was checking out a pair of shoes when she noticed him from the corner of her eye. Well-dressed, clean, expensive watch, the kind that speaks without noise. Confidence in the way he walked, the kind of man people would normally turn to look at. Jessica didn't. She focused on her shoes like she hadn't seen anything. But he noticed her, and he walked straight up to her. "Hi, pretty lady," he said smoothly. No response. She kept looking at the shoes. "Hi, pretty lady, I'm talking to you." That did it. Jessica slowly turned, her face already hard. "Are you talking to me?" she asked, cold. The man smiled, a bit surprised but still confident. "Yeah, I just wanted to say hi." Jessica let out a short laugh, not a friendly one. "Say hi? For what exactly?" The man paused. "I just thought—" "You thought what?" she cut in. "That because you're dressed like money, I'll just smile and start a conversation?" His smile faded. "That's not what I meant." "Then what do you mean?" she pressed. "Because I don't remember asking for your attention." People nearby started to notice. The man shifted, clearly uncomfortable now. "I was just trying to be nice," he said quietly. Jessica shook her head. "Please, keep your nice to yourself. I'm not interested. Not today. Not ever." Silence. Heavy silence. The confidence he walked in with. Gone. He nodded slowly, embarrassed, then turned and walked away. Jessica picked up her bag like nothing happened and walked off. No second thought. To her, it was just another man, properly handled. Weeks on, in a house, not just any house, a mansion, Wide spaces, clean floors, the kind of place where every corner whispered money. Tony sat in the living room, relaxed, one leg over the other, scrolling through his phone like a man who had nothing to worry about. Tony's attention had been caught. He paused, zoomed in, then scoffed. "See this girl," he muttered under his breath. On his screen was Jesica. Her face, her voice, her podcast clip. Tony let out a dry laugh. "Silly feminist," he said, shaking his head. "She thinks she has sense." Kelechi walked in just then. "What's funny?" Tony didn't answer immediately. He was still watching. Jessica's voice filled the phone. "You don't need a man. Most of them will only slow you down," Tony hissed. "Rubbish." "Guy, what are you watching?" Kelechi asked, coming closer. Tony turned the phone toward him. "See her. One social media girl that thinks men are useless." Kelechi leaned in. The moment he saw her face, he froze. Wait, he said slowly. "Isn't this the same girl I told you about?" Tony frowned. "What girl?" "The one from the mall. The one that insulted me that day." Tony sat up. "Come again." Kelechi sighed and sat down. "Guy, I just greeted her, normal greeting. Before I knew it, she finished me. I was even embarrassed." Tony's eyes narrowed as he looked back at the screen. Then he smiled. Not a nice smile. "Oh, so this is her?" Kelechi shook his head. "Forget her, Abeg. That girl no get joy, just leave her." Tony didn't respond. He was still staring at Jessica's face with deep anger. Calculating. Kelechi noticed the look. "Tony, what are you thinking?" Tony chuckled softly. "I like challenge." "Guy, no," Kelechi said quickly. "Just let her be, please. She is not worth the stress." Tony leaned back, calm but firm. "I said I like challenge." Kelechi exhaled. "You go stress yourself." Tony shook his head slowly. "No, I will handle her." There was something in his tone, something settled, dangerous, because Tony was not just any man. He had money, power, influence, and to him women were mere tools for pleasure. Money talks. Everything else follows. He had seen it too many times. Girls forming strong until the right amount shows up. Girls claiming independence until comfort comes knocking. And those ones that talked too highly of themselves, he enjoyed breaking them the most. Tony leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes still on the phone. "To me," he said quietly, "all this talk is noise. At the end of the day, a woman will always come down." Kelechi frowned. "Not everyone, bro, and besides, women are meant to be loved." Tony smirked. "We will see." He paused the video on Jesica's face. Confident, unbothered, untouchable. Then he nodded slowly, like a man who had just made a decision. "I'll bring her down." Kelechi stared at him. "Tony, leave this thing." But Tony was no longer listening. His mind was already set. And when Tony set his mind on something, he didn't walk away. He went all in. Tony didn't rush it. He didn't storm into her space the way other men did. He studied her first. Then, one evening, he sent a message. Simple. Calm. No pressure. "I saw your podcast. You're bold. I respect that." Jesica saw it, read it, ignored it. Of course she did. Another message came the next day. Then another. Tony wasn't pushy. That was what confused her. No "hi pretty," no "send me your number." No noise, just presence. Weeks turned into months. Jesica kept ignoring him, but she noticed something. He didn't stop, and he didn't insult her either. Most men would have switched quickly, from sweet to angry. But Tony stayed steady, calm, almost patient. One morning she found herself reading his message twice, then 3 times. Still, she didn't reply. But something had shifted. She started thinking about him, without admitting it. Then one day she replied. Just one word. Thanks. That was all Tony needed. The conversation started slowly, carefully. Jesica still kept her guard up. Sharp replies, short answers, no emotions. But Tony didn't fight her. He matched her pace. He listened. One night he asked for her number. Jesica hesitated but gave him the number anyway. After that, things changed. The calls became longer. The conversations softer. Jesica still spoke like her usual self. Strong. Untouchable. But behind that voice, she would lay on her bed, staring at her phone and smiling for no reason. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't thinking about her goals or her anger. She was thinking about him. Tony. Jesica kept a straight face again. No, this isn't supposed to happen. Not after everything her father did to her mother. Not after everything she had promised herself. She thought to herself, but no matter how much she tried to shake it off, his voice stayed, and deep down, something she had locked away long ago was slowly waking up. Then one evening, after weeks of calls and long conversations, Tony said it. Let me take you out. Jesica accepted. The date was simple. No noise, no pressure, just conversation. Tony was calm, attentive, different from the version of men she had always spoken about. He listened. He didn't argue. He didn't try to prove anything. And for the first time in a long time, Jesica felt seen. He encouraged her work. I like what you do, he told her one evening. Women need a voice. Jesica smiled. That meant everything to her, because she didn't want to lose herself, and it felt like she didn't have to. Slowly, what started as curiosity turned into closeness. And before she could fully explain it to herself, Jesica was in a relationship, a real one, with a man. It didn't even feel like the kind of thing she used to speak against. This felt safe. Then one day, Tony knelt in front of her, ring in hand. Marry me. Jesica froze. Her heart raced. Her mind went blank. All the things she used to say, all the promises she made to herself, everything stood still. But when she looked at him, she said yes. Just like that, Jesica said yes. When she told Fumi, the reaction was exactly what you would expect. Fumi screamed, Wait, Jesica, you, marriage. Jesica laughed, blushing like someone who didn't recognize herself anymore. Babe, calm down. Calm down, Kay. Fumi held her head dramatically. You said you will never marry. You said men are scum. What changed? Jesica smiled, shy but happy. I love him, she said softly. Fumi paused, then smiled. Ah, so this is love. They both laughed. But I'm happy for you, Fumi added. Just don't lose yourself. Jesica waved it off. Please, I know what I'm doing. Jesica took the proposal to her page, her face glowing, a different kind of glow. I'm finally getting married, she announced. The comments exploded. Wait, what? Jesica, getting married? Who is the man? Some were shocked, some were excited, some didn't believe it. Jesica laughed. Yes, I'm getting married, but let me say this clearly. Nothing has changed. Her tone was firm again. I am still me. Marriage doesn't change who I am. No one is going to silence your girl. The comments kept pouring. She ended the live smiling, confident, assured. The wedding day came. Everything felt like a dream. The dresses, the lights, the celebration. Jesica, the strong feminist, was now a bride. A deep lover girl at that. And when she walked down the aisle, people couldn't believe it. But she was happy. Genuinely happy. After the wedding, nothing seemed to change. Tony was still supportive, still calm, still that same man she fell for. But the following week, everything changed. It started small. Tony walked into the room while she was on her phone. "Give me that," he said casually. Jesica looked up. "Give you what?" "Your phone." She frowned. "Why?" "Just give me." His tone had changed, slightly, but enough. Jesica hesitated, then slowly, she handed it over. Tony scrolled through it quietly, then locked it, and kept it. Jesica blinked. "Tony." No answer. Later that day, she reached for her car keys and headed to the door, but the door was locked. She turned to him. "Tony, who locked the door?" "I did," he said from the couch. "Why?" "You won't be going out today, not anymore?" Jesica laughed lightly. "What do you mean?" "I said you're not going out." The laughter faded. She stood still. "What is this?" Tony didn't look at her. "Just rest and be the woman you are meant to be." And in that moment, for the first time, she didn't recognize the man she married. It got worse after that week. Tony didn't argue with Jesica anymore. He didn't explain. He simply took over. His true colors finally shone. Her phone was gone. Her bank account? Frozen. Her car keys? Locked away. Her podcast platforms, everything she had built, cut off completely, like it never existed. Jesica stood in the middle of the living room one morning, confused, shaken. "Tony, this is not funny," she said. "Give me my things." Tony looked at her like she was the one being unreasonable. "You don't need them," he replied. "I don't need them." Her voice rose. "That is my work. That is my life." Tony looked at her. "No," he said, calm but firm. "This is your life now." He gestured around the house. "Your place is here." Jesica felt something tighten in her chest. "My place," she repeated. "Yes. Your duty is simple. Keep the house clean, cook, take care of your home, and have children." Jesica stared at him, disbelief written all over her face. "This is a joke," she said. Tony didn't smile. "I'm serious." Something in his eyes had changed. Completely. The man she thought she knew was gone. "I'm not doing that," Jesica said, shaking her head. "You can't control me." That was the first time he hit her. The sound echoed in the room. Jesica froze. Her cheek burned. Her ears rang. Tony shouted at her. "Don't raise your voice at me again," he said. From that moment, everything shifted. Jesica tried to resist. At first, she argued. She refused. She tried to push back, but every time she did, it ended the same way. A slap, a shove, a blow. She became quiet, careful, invisible. Her days blurred together. Morning, she cleaned. Afternoon, she cooked. Evening, she waited to perform her bedroom Wi-Fi duty. She moved around the house like someone trying not to be seen, like someone walking on eggshells. The same woman who once spoke boldly to millions, now barely spoke at all. Tony had turned her into what he believed a woman should be. And to him, that was enough. Outside, something didn't add up. Fumi noticed. Calls that never went through again. Messages stayed unread. Days turned into weeks. "This is not Jesica," she muttered one evening, staring at her phone. She called again. Nothing. Again, nothing. Worry started to grow, deep and uncomfortable. She went to the house. She knocked. The gate man came out. "Madam, no they see anybody," he said casually. Fumi frowned. "What do you mean? Tell her I'm here." He shook his head. "Oga talk say she no day available." Fumi stepped back slowly, confused, uneasy. "This is not normal," she whispered. Inside the house, Jesica heard the knocking. She stood still, her heart pounding. She wanted to run to the door, to scream, to say something, anything. But she couldn't. Tony had made sure of that. And so, she stayed silent. The knocking stopped. The silence returned. And Jesica felt something inside her break all over again. Days passed. Then one evening, Tony's phone rang. Jesica got the phone first and saw the number saved as my love, and when she confronted him, he got upset and bounced on her. The first hit came fast, then another, then another. Jesica tried to protect herself, tried to move, tried to breathe. But Tony didn't stop. He kept going, like she wasn't human, like she was nothing. Jessica's vision blurred. Her body weakened, the room spun, she collapsed, and this time, she didn't get up. Silence, heavy, still, final. Tony stepped back, breathing hard. For a moment, even he froze, because something was different. Jesica wasn't moving at all, and just like that, it was over. The noise, the control, the fight, everything, gone. Tony was arrested. The story spread. The same Jesica who once spoke loudly to the world now became a quiet headline, sentenced to life imprisonment, no escape, no second chance. And that was how it ended. Not with a podcast, not with applause, but with silence. The kind of silence that leaves people thinking and wondering how something that looked so strong broke so completely. Besties, this story is not a fight against strong women. It is not a warning against independence. Jesica was not wrong for wanting a voice. She was not wrong for wanting to stand tall. But pain, when left unhealed, can quietly shape our choices. It can make us build walls so high that we stop seeing clearly. Jesica did not fall because she was strong. She fell because she trusted the wrong person, a man who studied her strength and used it against her. This is not about feminism. This is about discernment. This is about healing before love. This is about knowing that not every kind face carries a good heart. Moral of the story: not every person who comes with love comes with good intentions. Sometimes the greatest danger is not weakness, but trusting too quickly without seeing clearly. Heal from your past before you choose your future, because unhealed wounds can lead you into the hands of people who know exactly how to use them. Strength is not just speaking loudly or standing alone. True strength is knowing who to let in and who to walk away from.